What happens when a family fiesta sends a suburban Karen into a tailspin of rage, forcing me to turn our celebration into a loud rebellion that challenges her prejudice? Before we begin today's insane story, show some love if you've ever survived a wild Karen meltdown. Drop a like and let me know your craziest Karen run-in you've had down in the comments. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another jaw-dropping showdown. As we held our collective breath awaiting the thunderous moment when Karen would dance her way into our world, I faced an unexpected twist. Our hilariously awkward lawn diva stumbled forward to familiarize herself with the rhythm of our makeshift fiesta. She took to the rhythm with an uncertain foot shuffle, every bob and weave deliberate yet clumsy. All she needed was glitter, and she could have been the star of a dysfunctional dance-off between mothers and toddler gymnasts. The cacophony of laughter and cheers from my friends erupted, fueled by the thrilling absurdity of the situation. I could practically hear our collective resolve morphing from doubt to complete euphoria, like a beautifully flourishing flower breaking through a sidewalk's cracks. Karen, with her frown momentarily fading, seemed less and less like the gatekeeper of suburbia, and more like one of us, realizing perhaps for the first time how vibrant joy could be. Around us, the conga line, which had been the backbone of our celebration, snaked its way like a wildly expressive serpent, encouraging everyone, including Karen, to join in. Miguel's guitar blended seamlessly with the infectious laughter of the kids trying to leap in and out of the conga without a care in the world. I caught sight of Karen tentatively mimicking some of the moves, and every inch of my body was gripped with excitement. The very air around us buzzed with warmth, where once it had felt too cool and monotonous for the likes of birthdays or jubilant daydreams. Faces of the neighbors transformed from skeptics to playful participants, cheering her on as if she were about to give the best performance of her life. It was as if we had gone through a communal metamorphosis, where our colorful personas invited everyone, including the great suburban enigma herself, to dance on the precipice of rivalry and union. Of course, not everything was a seamless tapestry of joy. Karen's initial wobbles brought forth chuckles and snickered whispers among the children, until every concerned look exchanged turned into pure elation. "She's not just your average Karen anymore," someone shouted, and the crowd roared in agreement. "More like karaoke Karen," another chimed in, and laughter exploded as if the neighborhood had been waiting for this amateur comedy stand-up to arrive. There was something delightfully surreal about watching someone who had established herself as the neighborhood's resident grouch willingly stumble into our vibrant whirlwind. I even caught Karen stealing glances at me, skepticism replaced by traces of intrigue mixed with good-natured fun. Who knew suburban realities could blur so dramatically into revelry? Just as I thought we had breached the walls of historic resistance, she finally took a bold leap. Karen took a deep breath that swelled like the submarine in a cartoon and launched herself into the conga line like a superhero on a mission. The crowd witnessed an eruption of applause. It wasn't just one woman, but a neighborhood of joyful thrill, a spike of laughter uniting us all before she gleefully swayed her way through the rhythm. The whole act felt like a gloriously impromptu musical moment, where the once squeamish tyrant had thrown herself into the chaos and utterly transformed our suburban lawn into a theatrical stage. I threw my hands in the air, guiding the conga line towards her, and could barely contain my glee, shouting, "See? This is what our neighborhood should be about: freedom, fun, and flaunting our wonderful differences." Before I knew it, the party had morphed into a marvelous tapestry woven together by delight, shared laughter, and the edge of something resembling unity. The final act was beautifully orchestrated. Karen, now reveling in her newfound spirit, whipped her pastel shirt around like a magnificent cape, twirling in tandem with the mesmerizing mariachi band. "This loudness isn't just culture, Karen, it's life," I shouted over the music, catching her eye. I swear I caught the corners of her lips curling upwards, perhaps combating years of frowning into submission like a knight's armor cracking under jubilant pressure. Laughter spilled effortlessly, coating our interactions with vivid colors, as our distinctions blended into a kaleidoscope of celebration. As midnight approached and the laughter wrapped around us like a warm blanket, I couldn't help but reflect on our wild turn of events. The cacophony of joy had transformed not only our night but Karen too, revealing that even the most hardened spirits can melt amidst joyful chaos. Gone was the woman who scowled through windows at our celebrations. Now, I stood together with my community, holding up banners of acceptance, casually waving them against the backdrop of a newly beaming Karen. Never did I envision this, I mused, marveling at how quickly the ridiculous could morph into the beautiful, and the unexpected had declared the ultimate victor. With the stars twinkling overhead as witnesses, I realized that sometimes the loudness of joy, culture, and community could dissolve fears and create connections where none had existed. Could it be that Karen embraced the lights and sounds of life, even if just for one extraordinary evening? As I watched our neighborhood unite beneath the vibrant stars, I knew we had shattered more than just a complaint. We had sculpted a story of camaraderie out of chaos. What had begun as a mere clash of cultural identity turned into a fiesta of acceptance that would etch itself into our memories for years to come, forever echoing the celebration born from love, laughter, and the grand adventure of life. Would there be more nights like this, forever infusing our suburban lives with wild, colorful possibilities? After the cops arrived, and I had to explain to them that, no, we were not hosting a drug cartel meeting in our backyard, just celebrating a teenager blossoming into womanhood, their puzzled expressions made it clear that the whole situation had spiraled into pure absurdity. Thankfully, they politely smiled, assured me that they loved mariachi music, and promptly advised me to keep the volume down before making their escape. As I waved them off, Karen's frown deepened, like a dark cloud gathering overhead, determined to rain on my family's radiant version of joy. That's when Miguel bounced up to me, a twinkle in his eye, and a glint of pure mischief. "Alejandro, my dude, you know what we should do?" he exclaimed in that sing-song voice of his that always meant trouble. My pulse quickened. "What?" I asked, genuinely intrigued by what escapade might be bubbling in his vibrant brain. "We should throw a wedding," Miguel declared with the fervor of a seasoned event planner. The idea hit me like a piñata bursting open with a cascade of candy. A wedding on Karen's lawn, complete with all the noise, colors, and what my family might call a culturally immersive experience. I laughed out loud, picturing a whimsical scene that had Karen tearing her hair out in a dramatic display worthy of any award-winning soap opera. "Let's do it. No one throws shade at my culture and gets away with it," I exclaimed, the laughter tinged with an undercurrent of righteous indignation. While others might have shrunk away, I felt that familiar fire, a call to action ignited by her unrelenting prejudice. In that moment, I knew we would not simply accept her entitled judgment. Oh no, we would turn the volume up and throw the kind of party no Karen could ever forget. Plans began to swirl and gather faster than a whirlwind, with the ever-optimistic Miguel as our chief planner. We enlisted the help of the family and community, promising noise, music, delicious feasts, and all the flair that our culture had to offer. Invitations were crafted with glitter and flair, strategically placed at the homes of friends and family, with a tantalizing red, gold, and green color scheme that screamed fiesta. By the time we were done, it felt like the whole neighborhood was in on the joke, except, of course, for our not-so-chipper neighbor. I imagined Karen's eyes widening in disbelief as she witnessed the vibrant throng of guests, the lively music, and the delicious smells wafting through the air, almost like a delicious parade of retribution. My mind was racing. The absurdity was delicious, our situation nothing short of comical. The day of the wedding arrived, bright and sunny, just the kind of day I expected, not that Karen could appreciate it. Dressed in a bright floral shirt that screamed, "I'm here to party," I could barely contain my excitement. Guests poured in, and with each dose of laughter and music, I could feel Karen's frown grow deeper, her body stiffening with each loud mariachi note that spilled through her open window. The whole neighborhood had brought their favorite festive dishes, from tacos and enchiladas to tres leches cake that could make a girl swoon. It was a culinary holla that left no taste bud unturned. And to think, this jubilant firework display all came about because one lady thought my culture was too loud. As the afternoon melted into evening, the chaos and laughter reached an apex. Kids were swirling in colorful dresses, and crisp suits left over from the last wedding. Or perhaps these kids were simply embracing the same audacious spirit our families had. I expertly tried not to trip over my own 2 feet while attempting to dance and grin my way around the celebrants, and Miguel took command of the guitar, strumming chords that seemed to electrify the very air around us. Even the sky changed, rippling blue turning into oranges and pinks, as if the universe itself were celebrating with us. The party reached a stunning climax as I finally dared to peer towards Karen's house, half expecting her to burst forth in a comic rage. Instead, she stood framed in her window, arms crossed, and her entire being radiating a potent mix of disbelief and rage. In that fleeting moment, the sheer absurdity of the situation struck me, and I couldn't help but laugh, loud and free. What was her expression? Perhaps it was something akin to my cultural rhythm, invading her sterile suburban domain. As the notes of a mariachi trumpet blared, and the voices of joyful family filled the street, I began to appreciate just how juicy the irony was. Karen had been determined to rid her neighborhood of our cultural legacy, and here we were, declaring loudness as our banner. I caught my breath, basking in the sweet victory, wondering if this was how change began, in laughter, music, and the shining faces that danced under the sun. Who knew that a quinceañera could lead to loud love in our own backyard? What other surprises would the night hold? With laughter echoing off the walls and delicious aromas swirling in the air, I could hardly believe we were genuinely hosting a wedding on the lawn of our frosty neighbor, Karen. As the mariachi band kicked into a faster tune, I watched my cousin Rosa whirl in a vibrant pink dress that seemed to capture every brilliant hue of the afternoon sun. It felt as if the universe had flipped a switch, activating our collective joy, and I couldn't help but grin at the scene unfolding around me. We had ridiculously turned my family's backyard into a carnival of culture, defiance, and an unapologetic celebration of who we were. Tossing out the usual timid politeness, we had transformed our home into a lively fiesta, flaunting our traditions like peacocks strutting through a passive-aggressive suburban landscape. And oh, how vibrant those feathers were. Miguel caught my eye from across the gathering, and as if reading my thoughts, he strummed his guitar with even more fervor. He was definitely the ringleader of this circus, exuding charisma as he led impromptu dance-offs that blurred the lines between function and absolute chaos. "Come on, Alejandro, join the fiesta," he bellowed, and his infectious laughter beckoned me towards the dance floor, which was really just the grass we had not yet turned muddy with our celebratory antics. I dove into the groove, recalling the steps my abuela taught me. The spins and twirls erupted from my feet, as if they had a mind of their own, much to the delight of our audience of family and friends, who cheered, clapped, and whistled with encouragement. But even amidst our joyous chaos, I couldn't help but glance nervously over my shoulder toward Karen's house, half expecting her to storm out like a whirlwind with a megaphone. Just as I wrapped my mind around how absurdly happy my family seemed amidst this perfect storm of melodious rebellion, I noticed movement in Karen's window. My heart raced. There she was, looking less like the stereotypical suburban mom, and more like some Shakespearean villain, her brows furrowed, and her body tensed to burst from her fortress of entitlement. I caught a glimpse of her pastel pink polo shirt, stiffened by wrath, naturally, and her hands, clutching at the curtain as if it were the last tether to decency. I was almost convinced that I could hear her muttering about the breakdown of neighborhood values and the loudness of youth, all while my fellow partygoers cheered over another strumming of the guitar. How poetic it was, I mused, that all it took to break her wicked spell was a little joy, noise, and a 3-day wedding celebration. Just the kind of magic I could get used to. As the afternoon sun dipped below the horizon, we knew we had taken the festive spirit up several notches. Lively conversations were flowing, bolstered by helpings of enchiladas and laughter that filled any silences that dared creep in. I had gone from merely trying to drown out Karen's hatred to contemplating how far we could escalate this unexpected rebellion. We were in the throes of a fiesta like no other, new friends mingling with old family, all united against the common enemy. That was her disdain. Maybe we should invite the entire block next time, I teased, and the thought alone sent waves of giggles through our group. My sister Anna chimed in. Or at least get Karen her own mariachi band to drown out her negative vibes. More laughter erupted, and I began picturing a future where Karen, adorned in her pastel ensemble, would be tap-dancing away her grievances to the sound of brass instruments. Would she join our zesty festival of life, or retreat further into her sour bubble? At some point during the revelry, we decided to send Karen an invitation. Not literally, of course, but more as a symbolic gesture. Miguel insisted we raise a toast, cups lifted high, and proclaim our unyielding celebration of life and culture right in front of her window. To our loudness, Miguel shouted, his voice booming like a trumpet's blast. Laughter erupted again, and we took our cups, jiggling them towards Karen's house, like children teasing a grumpy adult. Would she luxuriate in this moment, and possibly even join in? I imagined her staggering out onto the lawn, the blush of confusion climbing to her cheeks as she was lulled by the vibrant community surrounding her. Maybe this absurd scene would be enough to crack that stiff exterior, revealing a human beneath the layers of judgment and prejudice. Just when it seemed the triumph of joy might be too much for Karen to withstand, the stars began to twinkle above us like spirits urging our celebration on. The mariachi band shifted gears to a traditional tune, and as we all swayed together, I spotted a flicker in the corner of my eye, a movement outside her window. There it was, a miracle in motion. Karen stood there, practically paralyzed between frustration and curiosity, with her arms uncrossed and leaning slightly toward the outside world. It was almost comical, one tiny human posing a mighty challenge to the overwhelming power of joy. Perhaps the music had seeped into her heart, inviting her to let go and accept what she had mistakenly labeled as too loud. Was this the beginning of a cosmic shift in the universe? Could Karen, oh sweet Karen, be letting go of her frown? Caught in a whirlwind of thoughts, I was simultaneously clapping and cheering, caught in the contagious joy surrounding me. My community was united and vibrant, a living canvas of laughter and tradition. Suddenly, laughter erupted from within me, mingling with the extravagance around us. Would Karen truly succumb to the power of our celebration? Or were we to witness a dramatic, melodramatic confrontation worthy of stage lights? Regardless, I relished the moment, and with all my heart, fully embraced our celebration of culture. Meanwhile, I began to wonder if the wedding bells would signal not the end, but rather the continuation of this magnificent showdown. Would we finally create a bridge between our joy and her disdain? The vibrant crowd spun and whirled before me, becoming a kaleidoscope of life, as I pondered what the night might still hold. What other amusing chapters awaited us hidden in the folds of this wild, unexpected saga? Just as I was about to dive into another round of cha-cha with my cousin, the crowd erupted in an unexpected cheer. I squinted into the evening light, half expecting another of Miguel's prank invitations for a dance-off. But wait, could it be? My heart raced as I caught a glimpse of movement behind Karen's drapes. There she was, with wide eyes, finally curious enough to peek out from her fortress of pastel frowns. It was as if she had been struck by a bolt of unexpected courage. The neighborhood's very own tempestuous queen was confronting the blur of color and joy before her, a sight to behold. Dream on, I thought with an internally raised eyebrow. This could be the moment where the frowning straw breaks the camel's back. What if she was planning a fabulous intruder entrance? Could she finally be swayed to join the realm of the unruly? As our laughter bubbled higher, the mariachi band began to play a ballad that seemed to ooze nostalgia and gentleness, while simultaneously riling up our spirits. You could almost feel the notes wrapping around us like a warm blanket, coaxing distant memories of joyous gatherings. My aunts and uncles somehow launched into spontaneous salsa numbers, kicking up grass and excitement into the air. Unbeknownst to them, they were shattering the barriers, laying waste to any repressed notions of decency that had been rattling around on that suburban block. I spotted Karen again, now nestled in her window frame, thumping her foot as if rhythmically caught between despair and an unexpected urge to twirl right into our electric world. Was this her breaking point? Could the allure of dance and culture be her gateway into acceptance? Meanwhile, Miguel seized this fleeting moment, like a child grabbing the last slice of cake. "Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a lawn party crasher," he bellowed, leading the guests in an exaggerated applause that reverberated against the walls of her perfectly manicured home. Cheers surged up like tidal waves. our bare feet connected to dewy grass, and every clap seemed to ignite more laughter while I mentally collected my thoughts. Could we truly pull this off? The hilarious imagery morphed in my head. A showdown where Karen found herself dressed in brightly colored guayaberas, the orchestra of our fiesta serenading her past prejudices into oblivion. My cheeks warmed at the thought, how deliciously absurd it would be for her to burst out, openly celebrating all the things she had deemed too loud. Just as humor danced within my heart, Karen's curtain slightly flared again. Roller coaster of thoughts. Dramatics were written all over her face, which had transformed from a mask of disdain to something resembling bewildered curiosity. Her brow was slightly furrowed, perhaps contemplating the playful rebellion she had unleashed by her initial admonishment. My mind raced as I pondered. What could possibly be unfolding behind her stern exterior? I imagined a whirlpool of conflicting thoughts, a sound-biting rendition of, "What have I done?" or a whimsical, "How do I get in on that rice and beans?" Perhaps, just maybe, our fiesta was reshaping her perception of what loud really meant, an invitation to something wonderfully vibrant, enticingly loud and utterly disarming. Encouraged by the prospect of a potential breakthrough, I waved over my cousin Daniela, the spin master of our crew. "You know what would really spice this evening up?" I asked her, eyes glinting with mischief. "Let's incorporate a dance-off challenge and see if we can draw her out." She busted out in laughter, practically snorting, as the idea cracked open like a piñata. The surrounding guests picked up on our vibe like moths to a flame, giggling, whispering, planning a fanfare that would catapult us toward the ultimate twist, clandestinely inviting Karen into our celebration as we showcased the rhythm of our culture. Did she have the guts to respond? I winked conspiratorially at Miguel, who wanted her to feel the energy that radiated from our side of the lawn. In an adrenaline-fueled decision unlike any I'd made before, I grabbed a mic. Yes, the same mic meant for karaoke later that night, and stood atop a small table, feeling like a captain of our joyous ship sailing through a storm of uncertain reactions. "Hola! We have an esteemed guest tonight who we would love to invite to join us. Karen, come out and let's redefine loud together." The neighbors around us erupted in raucous laughter and cheers, filling the air with the kind of infectious joy that could shake the universe and break open even the most granite of hearts. What seemed a miraculous act of camaraderie turned electric, velocity-building, liberating laughter lifting the heavy weight of contempt that had lingered in the atmosphere. Would she take the bait? Or would her stubbornness keep her bound to her throne of indifference? In that moment, as the world around erupted in chaos and anticipation, I couldn't help but notice Karen's fingers loosening their grip on the curtain. My pulse quickened, the crowd held its collective breath, and just as the sun's last rays kissed the horizon, a smile crept onto her lips. An exhilarating possibility swirled amidst my excited thoughts. What if Karen would take that step onto our lawn, a symbol of acceptance, joy, and a whole new start? Or would she finally shatter like overpriced glassware after days of complaints, retreating further behind the world of detachment she had known? It was wild, unpredictable, and everything I had come to love and cherish about my community. The night was still young, and anything could happen. What more amusing moments of this ridiculous saga remained hidden in the magic of the evening? With a breathless pause lingering in the electrifying air, all eyes turned to Karen's window. A high-stakes gaze as if we were collectively on the edge of winning or losing a game of human chess. I dared to hope that the absurdity of my challenge had tickled a nerve somewhere beneath her seemingly unshakable exterior. If Karen accepted my microphone invitation, it would redefine her role from the somber lawn guardian to an honorary participant in the most ridiculous backyard fiesta this suburban block had ever witnessed. The spontaneous rhythm of laughter danced through the crowd, and I could feel it vibrating in my bones. Was this the moment we would transport her from the drab world of pastel to the vibrant explosion of color and culture? My heart raced, thrill mingling with disbelief. The crowd erupted in anticipation, a bubbling cauldron of enthusiasm ready to spill over. "Come on, Karen, join us!" Miguel cheered in a voice so buoyant it could lift the heaviest of hearts. It felt like the entire neighborhood had united in our shared vision, as neighbors who once whispered complaints had now banded together with doors flung wide open. Everyone from the kids set loose spouting confetti to the retiree trying to utilize his once-ignored dance moves greeted the jovial soundscapes of our collective creativity with unfiltered joy. Each tiny moment unfolded before us like brightly colored streamers of laughter, and I couldn't help but marvel at how a single complaint about our cultural expression could sow such spectacular seeds of resilience and rebellion in our community. Then, in what felt like a scene orchestrated from a movie where reality and comedy collide, I noticed Karen slowly pushing aside her curtain. The light from the setting sun brushed against her pale blonde locks, and for a wild moment, I feared I'd see her avalanche of overpowering frowns crash down like a tsunami of unhappy glares. But there she stood, genuinely intrigued, her expression like a study of conflicting emotions battling for supremacy. I was ready to pop an air horn from excitement. Could the wall that she had built brick by sour brick be crumbling? My mouth broke into a grin so wide I summoned every ounce of charm to prevent it from morphing into laughter. Could she lean into the crowd, maybe just a little, and allow herself the joy we cherished? "Ladies and gentlemen," I exclaimed, channeling my inner game show host as I danced on my improvised stage, a table sporting half-eaten empanadas and a cooler bursting with soda bottles. "Let's give a warm round of applause for our lawn queen, Karen." This time, the chorus of cheers felt like a tidal wave crashing over her stoic pride, and I truly thought I could hear her breathing syncopating to the rhythm of our exulting beats. As the neighbors around us shouted encouragement, I waved my arms like a conductor guiding an orchestra of pure vibe, adding layers to the backdrop of this epic standoff. "Join us, and let's turn this block into the greatest fiesta ever." Suddenly, like a poorly orchestrated magic act, she did the most unexpected thing. A slow and almost timid step outside. My jaw practically fell out from sheer shock as the crowd gasped in unison, witnessing the evolution of our local nemesis into something that felt like a mythological hero, stepping into a role she had nearly forgotten. Karen, adorned in a soft pastel shirt that ironically clashed with our colorful dance floor, looked ferociously skeptical but uniquely curious. The tension hung thick in the air, and I felt the wide smile on my face nearly burst with joyful disbelief. Could she be transforming right before our eyes? Was she contemplating how loud could take on new meanings? Just then, as if she caught the contagious sway of our rhythm, Karen shifted from foot to foot, perhaps weighed down by the compelling laughter of neighbors who cheered her on, or she might be wrestling with the era of two left feet that had always deemed her stolid. It was nothing short of performance art, a reluctant sort of waltz, glitchy and awkward, birthed from her once stern demeanor, where the surroundings' troubles melted into the allure of our jubilant atmosphere. No way, this can't be real, I thought, eyes wide, watching as she grappled with the expansive embrace of an unexpected life no thorns were meant to have. This was the moment that would shape history. Our neighborhood stood on the verge of infamy in its very own chaotic tale. My heart thumped loud enough to form its own rhythm. The crowd's continuous encouragement had morphed into a cacophony of absurdity with everyone, including toddlers coaxing, "Karen, Karen, Karen," like some flashy rock star was about to unveil their secret life. It was a half-starred Broadway audition playing in the backyard, and I was momentarily caught in the Louvre of nonsense artworks and unpredictable folks. Oh, how glorious it was witnessing the very embodiment of suburban tension and community celebration collide to craft a spectacle. My thoughts raced with the sweet realization that our communal boldness became a magnet for her transformation. This rustic lawn party might become a legend, talked about even in the gossipy bubbles of Hailstone Heights, long after we dropped the last piñata. And just like that, Karen steadied her breath, reinforced the stance of someone summoning the very roots of her suburban rebellion, and embraced the chaotic serenade with a laugh that danced lightly atop her features. My heart dropped into a world of glee, damn near trembling from disbelief. Could this actually be happening? I wondered, the delightful possibilities swirling like confetti. Would she join our salsa circle, a fiendish delight dancing beside the mariachi band, turning our clash into one glorious celebration full of flair and acceptance? In that moment, anything seemed possible as we welcomed her to redefine the meaning of too loud while uniting together through a party that would eternally echo in local lore. Thanks for tuning into this insane entitled Karen story. If you're craving more wild Karen showdowns, check out our video on the right. Or if you trust YouTube's instincts, pick the one on the left. Whichever you choose, brace yourself. There's plenty more meltdown madness where today's story came from.